Okay, thank you for joining us on our 5th episode of Bitches Analysis Corner. I have 3 new guests for us today, analyzing a game from the last nationals that did indeed happen. We are excited to be here, and I'll let my guests introduce themselves.
I'll go first. My name's Ryan Davis, they, them. I play in the South region. I currently play on Terminus Quidditch Atlanta, but I've done a lot of tenure through a bunch of different South region teams. This was my 5th season of playing, and I'm really excited to be here.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I have played only with Cal for 1 year, so I'm brand new, and it's a good time.
Hey, I'm Stephanie. I also play for Cal, still, for 1 year. We're just a pair of newbies.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you have not met me somehow, my name is Lindsey Simpson. I am one of the current captains of the Lost Boys. This is my 7th season. I think I should just sit down and count, but I haven't done that. And my pronouns are she, her. I believe both Nicole and Stephanie both go by she, her as well, correct? Cool.
Yes.
Amazing. So this is a game that happened on the first game of day 2 of nationals last year, and it's Texas A&M versus Cal Quidditch. This is my 2nd Cal game that we're doing, not intentionally, it just happened that way, and I apologize to the Cal players who have been in these games because they're both games that Cal loses, but I didn't mean to do that. Fenning was not really happy when I told him that I chose this game, but I just wanted good film quality, and I wanted y'all to have a team that you kind of knew, especially because you're first-year players. So I figured this would be a good move. So we are going to hop right into this. I'm going to share my screen.
Go Bears.
Go Bears. We lose, so.
Even better.
So yeah, we're just gonna hop right into it. I tried to write down the starters of this game. I believe if I found everyone's number correctly, on Cal, it's Ryan Fetting, Arden Lowe, Connor Hughes, and then Maddie Earl, Eli Phipps, and AJ Morgan. And then I believe for A&M, we start with Connor McIntyre, Hayden Altman, Landis Walter, Cameron Valamil, and then beating is Aaron Gerber Michael and Alex Stewart. So I believe those are our starters for this game. I could be wrong if I read a number wrong or if I read it later, but that's what I think is what's happening. So we will.
I think beating might be Ivan, Lindsay. I think beating is Ivan instead of Connor. I think Connor is.
Yeah.
Interesting. I know Ivan subs in, but I thought Connor was on the starting line, so I could be wrong. All right, let's just get started. Of course, the only person you can't see on the sideline is the last beater, but it's fine. That's Connor over there, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Connor does start.
That makes me feel a lot better.
I could have sworn Ivan started. That was so bad. Might be.
I think he subs in pretty soon.
Part of the first half of the game, though.
Yeah. Okay. So we got Fenning starting with the quaffle, heading downfield. Was a quick goal from A&M to start this game. I think both teams started out pretty sloppy with Cal not being able to pass, and then.
And if you really kind of look at that first play from Ryan, I think he had a lot of better options there. He kind of ran straight into a tackle and got beat without the ball ever leaving his hand. Like he didn't even attempt to pass. And I think he had one player open to his left, and he could have easily kind of done a drive and dish there, which I think is what he tried to do, but just maybe got wrapped up in the process. Yeah, like we see number 8 right there, wide open on that left side that Ryan had an easy pass for. That I guess just kind of missed in the beginning. That kind of leads to this first goal because then Cal has way too many bodies downfield, not enough field protecting it.
I also don't understand why Connor didn't let go of his bludger at till the very end of that play. Connor number 2 is going to be coming down. He's right off screen here. And I understand that he's waiting to decide between the pass and the shot, but he just lets 3 quaffle players touch the ball before throwing the ball, which I don't know if was the smartest move, but.
Yeah, and then kind of at the very end, he also still has a little bit of indecision, right? At that last point, we know that quaffle player shooting through that small hoop. So, and he still tries to kind of throw over the hoop to make that beat. Just throw the ball through the hoop at that point, either try to block up a hoop, or you have so many options there.
Yeah. Missed opportunity for sure. Now Ivan's in. So Connor had that one play. That makes sense.
Okay, yeah, very quick switch.
48 seconds of gameplay. Again, Fenning starts this game off really sloppy. He does like hit a really great stride and has a lot of great moves, but like this was just like a pass to he had a bludger coming on, but like it wasn't even close to hitting, I don't think, where he wanted to go.
And even there, like he clearly has Eli Phipps on that far right side open for a pass. And Ryan just kind of went for that big loopy over the top play, but he's got Eli Phipps right over there on that other side, who is a great passing option. I think Ryan, especially at the beginning of this game, just kind of tried to come out guns blazing a little too hot. They went for those big aggressive plays where I think it could have really benefited Cal here, just kind of slow down and kind of play a little more methodically.
I was just trying to figure out who he was trying to pass to. It looked like number 8, like Ertl.
Yeah.
I couldn't quite tell.
Yeah, that's what
it got deflected and went too far away.
Yeah,
but she wasn't open anyways.
Maddie was like we'll just watch this one more time. So we've got AJ Morgan here. Arden makes a great beat, but they still have the beater on. And then there's like the ball, I don't know what.
Yeah, there's nobody there to catch it.
Maddie was even like on this side when it started to come, and she started to cut in. And then I don't know. It was, I think it was just like a ditch move because there was a bludger on, but I don't know why the pass didn't happen to Eli.
Eli could have cut in there though. He had a pretty open lane. I feel like it would have been beneficial for him to start running in.
I think once Arden had made the beat, they were kind of like waiting for their beaters to go do something else, and then their female beater, who I have written down her name many times, Alex Stewart, like just pressed really quickly, and I don't think Fenning was really expecting that.
I mean, but then Fenning kind of makes up for it on defense there. He makes a great block.
He has a great stop.
He's just there. He has great awareness of in ball trajectory, so he kind of knows where to be to block that. So.
So you got Fenning with the ball again. It looks like A&M has control with Alex and Aaron still. Alex Stewart and Aaron Gerber-Mikal. I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry. But.
One thing I noticed is like most of the first half of the game, pretty much most of the game, TMAU has control of the bludgers.
Yeah, which is surprising based on the skill of Cal's beaters that they aren't able to like kind of compete. I'm not surprised if the Quaffle game was led towards Texas A&M, but it's just unexpected that the Cal beaters were struggling so much against their beaters.
That's what I thought too, because they were making really good plays with only a single bludger, and they gave up a lot of goals because they only had a single bludger, and they would pass the first bludger and then have a wide open lane.
Yeah, that right there is a look from Cal I don't really like. Number 8, Maddie, kind of just comes up a little too hot and tries to make that tackle, which kind of leaves that big hole in the Cal zone that we're seeing, which allows this next drive to happen, where if she sits back a little bit more and just kind of lets this play develop, then this play never happens.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
A strange step to take. This goal was a lucky goal, but it would have been a great pass to 10 even if it didn't go in. So it definitely went to a space in the Cal D that shouldn't have really opened up that way. I think we start to see now keepers this game have like keep trying to make these longer shots, which has been good, but both of these teams have such like a tall and strong hoops defense between Fenning and Connor that really doesn't work that way. And I think this is when we start to see more of a passing game develop, at least on the Cal side. But this isn't a team, either of these teams are not teams to take shots on.
Yeah, but I actually think this is where Cal gets bludger control back, because I really like this Australian-inspired bludger play back of you force the beat up top, you pass to your partner in the middle of their zone, and then you end up chasing back with a bludger at their back. I really like that play. I think it works really, really well. I mean, we saw Australia absolutely dismantle Team USA with it in the game that they lost, and so I think it just works out really well.
I think you can overall see like a difference. Like Fenning takes it slower, looks like more pitch awareness when you have McIntyre, great driver, very athletic, much quicker on the pitch. Once he has the ball, he's moving his team very quickly downfield, when Fenning gives a little rest and like an analytical outlook, I think.
I think that's like a regional difference of like the Southwest being as like a stereotype, for lack of a better word, of like hit and run and go fast. And while places like the Northeast and the West are a little more like slow and calculated, and I think we see that a lot during this game. But
yeah.
This play right here is, in my opinion, and I just want to think the things I wrote down, that this is an insane pass to Eli Phipps. It's a very long thing. Phipps barely gets it. And the fact that Eli scores on that play is crazy to me. Like, I can't believe that it worked.
Yeah, that's Eli Phipps just taking it home.
Yep.
Getting an opportunity and
Yeah.
just running with it.
If that was a pass to anyone else, I don't know if it would have ended in a goal.
No, yeah, it was a nice mid-range shot for sure.
I gotta talk for a bit, so let's go back and watch it again, and then I'll fast forward. I think this ends up being a bludger turnover or something that I didn't see. So yeah, Fenning up here, and then Eli is way, way far away, catches it with one hand, and just scores on the middle hoop. He could have passed to Maddie, who was closer. He could have driven, but he just insane goal with a one-handed catch and release. Now they're gonna stop. I think there ends up being a bludger turnover. Something happens here.
Yeah, Ivan gets the bludger.
So we're back with Connor McIntyre with the ball. Okay, there we go. It looks like they're trying to do the same thing that Fenning and Eli just did, and then it doesn't go well.
So one thing that I noticed that Texas kept doing throughout this game is their keeper would be running and then pass behind hoops, like a far pass while it's running, which is a very hard pass to make because it's hard to control where you're actually going while running. I think the longer passes work for Cal more than for Texas because Fenning stops and will like plant his feet and then pass it instead of running into players.
Yeah, I think throughout this game, I wrote down somewhere that Connor has like 4 passes that are directed right to number 80, Cameron Villamil, and like 1 connects at the end of the game.
Yeah, and that was only kind of when the keeper was much closer to him, so it was a much closer pass.
Yeah, this is insane that Fenning does the exact same thing as this last play. A&M hasn't adapted to seeing the threat that Eli is. Another insane pass, another crazy goal that comes from Eli's just quick movements.
Yeah, I believe the commenter on this game called it a Space Jam play. And
Yeah,
I kinda liked
that's
that. So we'll reiterate, yeah, it was nice.
I think the Cal knows Eli's strength is kind of catching midair and being able to finish after catching it.
Yeah,
They play to that advantage.
he knows exactly where to pass it to get it into Eli's hands, and like you said throughout this whole game. He also does it with Maddie, but we haven't really seen that yet today. But at the last game we watched against Utah State, that was a lot of the same connections with Maddie.
It seems like Maddie in this game is really covered because I don't know if does she score in this game?
I don't think so, which is anyone
Yeah.
that's crazy. She's like by far this year was the most elite female chaser in the West, like top in the country for sure. And it's crazy that they must like have known that to compensate for the fact that Maddie like to have a person like knowing what she's capable of, but then that thus leaves Eli open. So it's not really a good trade-off.
It's hard to tell a lot of times because they do zoom in the camera on the quaffle, which is nice to see what's happening. But then I can't always see like, where is Maddie? Is she not open? Like, why isn't she ever getting the ball?
So I really like this play from A&M. It's a great post-up mismatch. Cal doesn't allocate the bludger resource because I think they have the hoop covered, because they think they have the hoop covered, and A&M just uses the body mismatch and kind of just drives it straight home.
Yeah, that's like, no offense to AJ Morgan, who's a star player, but like when you have a 6 foot tall A&M like just post up in front of you, they're gonna get the goal every time.
Oh yeah, back to Maddie real quick. I know that like every time she got any touches this game, automatically there was 2 chasers on her and a beat very quickly.
Everyone knows number 8 from Cal. I think this is Fenning's first drive of the whole game. So we're 4 minutes in, and he's a great passer, but he's also a strong driver. 4.5 minutes to finally get the confidence to go do that.
If you go back to that play, I think the beaters open up the lane for him
they
to
definitely
drive.
will.
And I see that a lot. It seems like he always tells them to like be a specific player, which opens up a lane, which allows like a good driving.
Yeah,
And then all his chasers crash with him, which is really good.
I don't remember if they end up calling this a goal or not. I think they end up stopping it and saying that it might have been. I don't remember.
I think it was beat before.
Yes, that's what it was. Because I remember like it hitting the hoop again, and I was like, he really did that twice. Like that last ditch effort shot out of hoop, and then it only goes in because it hits down into the hoop.
We love when Arden just runs up, just right in the head.
Lisa wasn't in the face.
He would if he could.
Yeah, but again, Arden kind of like confuses and creates chaos there, which allows that lane for Fenning to drive through.
Yeah, this is a really strong game for Arden. I didn't see him play much in the Utah State game that we watched last time, and I was like, I don't know why. I don't know if he's just like stuck on the sidelines, but it was crazy to see him excel in this game.
I think also 2 or 3 times he beat somebody like right as they're scoring, which causes like beat before. So yeah, I thought Arden did really well in this game.
We have a new beater on the A&M side. It's Miles Travis, and that's another failed pass to Cameron Villamil. That happens a few more times during this game. But we're at 5 minutes of gameplay, and I think the only subs we've seen so far is that A&M beater and then Ivan for Connor at the beginning of the game. I don't know if anyone else from A&M has subbed out either. So both of these teams know they have a strong first line and want to lock down that first line.
Yeah, Cal back with control, which we don't see a lot.
Yeah. I think this is like the first time in like a few minutes too.
We'll see a drive coming, yeah. Yeah, this defensive play was nice by McIntyre.
Yeah, he was just there when he needed to be, for sure. Let's go back to this one again. I'm sad to see Fenning not complete this because his beaters did such a great job, but A&M is just very big and strong, and they have just pulled Fenning out completely out of the play. Connor versus Fenning is a very fun lineup to watch.
I mean, and that's just, a picture perfect tackle too.
Yeah.
Like head down, locks in, and then just continues to drive the legs throughout the entire time and really just removes Ryan from the entire play and then has enough hustle to get back, block their shot, and pick up the ball again.
Yeah, if Cal didn't have control and Connor didn't slow down, if A&M had control in that play, that would have been a goal no matter. He would have gotten there for sure.
Absolutely.
And also the chasers on Texas, they were all still paying attention and still following their man. So even when Fenning was able to get the ball off, the other chasers were still pretty covered. And so they weren't able to score. I think on this one, again, Texas, the keeper does run in again and passes while running. And he misses the third time.
On this one, he kind of runs behind the hoops, makes a big circle, and then lets go of the ball a little too early and just kind of whiffs it straight under the hoop and hits it about 6 feet in front. But, I mean, it's a good effort. I think that he got a little overzealous on his shot and should have continued just to kind of push it through. I wasn't totally sure if there's a beater in front of him, but I think that's a great time to just kind of continue to make sure you get that high percentage shot.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a pitch right into the.
For viewers watching at home, the call on that play for the turnover was a second reset, a reset used. That's why Callan got that ball, just for context. I just want to, nothing really great quaffle-wise happens, but if you look over here at Ivan, Ivan is a stellar player. He misses this beat, but he is many feet away from, I think, Miles Travis, and Ivan does not walk away with this ball, but the fact that he started off 5 feet back and makes it to this bludger here and so close to being able to snag it is just a huge spectacle to just see his hustle. That was the first time that they have connected to Cameron, and I think they end up calling it something goes wrong here, I believe. Maybe not. Yeah, they call it no good because they think the keeper was beat before or something. I don't remember, but it's no good.
In this one, I remember looking at this. I think Arden beats the chaser who's behind hoops.
It's Cameron Villamil still. It's the same one that they keep trying to pass to. Let's see. Let's look.
Yeah, I think Arden beats Cameron pretty clearly.
That ends up getting called no good, but it's the first time that A&M has made that connection to Cameron successfully. They're going to call it no good. Great beat by Ivan to open up this lane, but I think after the last wrap, Fenning has a little more hesitation when it comes to getting through people. But for this play, I was frustrated that no one, so Fenning gets beat and with the bludger on, and both AJ and Eli are both at hoops. That's a risk that you're going to run playing a 2-2 offense. But the fact that Maddie literally has no viable pass is still, AJ is going backwards. Why are either of them popping up to the side to be an actual pass? It doesn't have to go through these giant A&M boys.
Yeah.
AJ should have run to the middle of the field towards Maddie and allow them to like pass off each other a little bit more.
Agreed. That was hard to see. And then Connor has another insane drive and tips the hoop and goes back down. Okay, so we've got Fenning with the ball again. Eric Shen finally subs in for Eli, and that's the second Cal sub that we've seen at almost 10 minutes into gameplay, which is kind of crazy to see. And Connor McIntyre has also subbed out for a new keeper. Jack McBride subs in.
I think Connor Hughes is in for Arden as well. I don't know if that happened earlier.
Arden was just in like 2 plays ago, so if it did happen, it was very soon. I wrote down like half of the subs that I saw just because I wrote down a lot of things. But
yeah, it was either Connor or Kyle. I know that they become a duo at some point in this game.
One thing that I do notice is at the beginning of the game, like Cal's pretty fresh and is able to get back really fast, which stops a lot of drives, as Texas seems to like to drive even if there's full defense back. But then Cal starts wearing out due to this, and they're also not subbing until like 9 minutes into the game. And so Texas starts scoring more often than Cal does, which gives them the lead actually in the end.
yeah, I have some thoughts I want to talk about at the end about the way that I think Cal plays their lines, because that was like the only thing we talked about during the Utah State game was like, wow, if only they had subbed, because Cal had a 21-person roster and Utah State had a 14-person roster, but rotated through all of those 14 people 50 times during the game.
Although, to be fair, I think a lot of Cal's roster, at least this season, were all rookies.
It's true. It's objectively, they did have a lot of young players.
Yep, and then I think this play right here is another play where just Ryan holds onto the ball a little bit too long, gets beat out up front without even trying to make a pass, and then it gets caught and gets scored on, which actually ends up tying up the game. Like Cal Beater here tries to make an aggressive play.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
Doesn't work out. Steps up. Ryan doesn't make this pass. He has Eli across the field. And even in that situation, right, when all of your beaters are out and you still have resets, you run straight back to your hoops. And if you don't have resets, you just make a shot attempt and blast it off the other side of the pitch and give your team time to set back. And so you don't give up those free goals. Because, I mean, both beaters are out in this situation. They have no quaffle players back. They're not stopping that fast break. But I think if you just play that quaffle a little more conservatively, you prevent that goal from happening.
And then that same play, I know that Ivan had a nice kick beat, which I always have to acknowledge because
he's very good at that.
Practice all the time, and every time I'm like, yes, Ivan, good stuff.
This is, I didn't expect to see this from Fenning after how slow he's been making it and how like red his face is and how tired he looks. But I think he sees the weaker A&M beaters have subbed in, and now that Ivan and Connor have taken them out, and he just has some great footwork here to like make a cut and gets around everybody. On A&M right now, Blaine McCullers, Ranny, Doran, Cody Fox are now all on the field. Cody Fox, I think, is the only player on either of these teams that switches positions. He starts to beat later, which was interesting. That was a great, flawless wrap on defense there. I'm going to look at that one more time because it was so pretty. A smart look from A&M, but didn't have a single chance as soon as Fenning made that step. So that was one of the stronger defensive plays that we see from Cal the whole game, I think.
Yeah, that was just beautifully executed right when the pass hits and just wrap.
I thought both of the A&M keepers did a really good job. Just physical, fast, quick-paced.
I think that's a great shake by Ryan, too. I mean, really using his body, just throw that A&M chaser to the ground.
This is my favorite play of the whole thing. Maddie ends up getting called beat before. My note in this move right here says, in all capital letters, Maddie is so good at Quidditch. I have been playing for 7 years, and I cannot do what Maddie just does. So Fenning has a great move here. I'm so shocked that he didn't get taken down just because he hadn't subbed out yet. And then Maddie makes this beautiful cut, comes back up. She gets called beat before, but the fact that she scores while someone is hugging her, I get so I'm like, don't touch me. I can't do it. So that was a beautifully executed play. If only she wasn't beat before. But
yeah, that's just incredible focus and just really like ball control in general of just being able to finish through tackles.
So few female chasers are capable of that objectively, and it's so nice to be able to see. All right, so we got Jack McBride taking the quaffle down. We still have not seen any more subs. Everyone other than the beaters and Eric Shen have been playing this whole game. So Fenning, AJ, and Maddie have all not subbed out. And Ivan has been in since like 1 minute of game time.
I think they only sub in 2 more subs, or 3 more subs, TJ, Cat, and, I guess they also sub Connor in too. They sub a lot more at the end.
Yeah, Dara comes in too.
Yeah.
This is a Hail Mary. You can start to see a small shift in A&M the same way that we eventually see the shift of Cal of like just not as stronger passes with their like second line of people. And that was just, that pass was not going to connect to anybody. So A&M has subbed back in their starting keepers at this point, which again are Alex Stewart, who is a Spitfire blonde with the braid. Aaron Gebremichael, I have to read his name out every time because I don't know how to say it. And they are a strong, strong pair. This is I would have liked to see Maddie's capability in this one because it's another great pass to Maddie. After seeing what she's capable of through other games, I do think she's close enough that like she didn't have to take the step up. I think she got the ball too parallel to the hoops, and if she had started as a step up, she would have easily been able to turn and score, but she had to take that step because she was too far out. So that was hard to see, but it's okay. She's still great.
It would have been either nice for her to get it when she was behind the hoops or be a step farther up. The parallel to the hoops was a very hard spot to catch it.
Which is unfortunately not going to get through an A&M keeper. Another great passing. You can like see the energy from A&M by using their subs.
Yeah, and you can see how Cal isn't getting back as efficiently this game, and they're scoring more now.
Yeah, here comes in TJ and Kyle.
And this is really the point in the game where really that 14, 15-minute mark is where you start to see the effect of substitutes. It's really like, even like the top players, playing for 14, 15 minutes straight is just absolutely daunting. You're not going to play the same after that. I really like to have seen Cal here use a little bit more of their subs because I think if they use more of their subs, they actually stop a bunch of these fast break goals that they maybe gave up because they were tired.
It's also rough because when they wait 14 minutes, the person who's coming in next, like their second line keeper, he's been cold for 14 minutes. He hasn't moved around. He's not like on his feet yet. It's not like he's been playing a whole game and has warmed up a little bit.
Absolutely.
This was I love seeing some good beater hits. I think A&M sees the Kyle has subbed in now and just isn't as strong as the other Cal beaters and takes immediate like he gets beat, but this is just like flawlessly executed from a beater play. If he had just gotten up faster, it would have been even better.
Yeah, this is some questionable reffing that happens next.
I don't know why there wasn't an illegal call on these Eric.
So it looks like the ref tries to call back to hoops and then gets kind of shaken off. I mean, he throws his hand up for advantage, it appears.
Yeah.
And then
he points.
Yep, and then still kind of lets this play continue. I mean, I think this should have been a Cal ball. I think that's just kind of unfortunate on Cal's end.
I don't really know how that happened. I also, as far as this play goes for A&M, though, I have no idea why they rushed this anyway. I think it's a lot of confusion. I don't think A&M even knew that they were ending up with the ball, and they pressure through this so quickly, and it could have been a calculated play, but it just ends up being a long pass, and AJ is there with some great defense, great hands, and ends up stopping this from happening. But it just does I just don't see why they had to do that, considering the way that they've been playing. It could have been a much smarter there's 4 Cal players in the image right now, and there is no A&M people around, and it just would have been a stronger offense if they had taken a little more time and got more players down the field.
Yeah, I think Jack McBride also got called for a on-the-ground penalty here, back to hoops, and that stopped that. I want to say he ended up actually scoring, but it didn't count.
AJ finally subs out after that for Dara, who's now the current captain, right? Or was this past season?
Yeah,
past season. Steph is the current captain.
Oh, love that. This ends up being a tough misbeat by Kyle, which leads to a pretty easy drive. Considering there's 3 Cal players right there, I don't know if we would have seen sending Maddie combinations stopping that play. It's hard when you're they should be subbing more, but then when they don't sub, one A&M player can get through these 3 second tier players. So Who's to say what's the smarter choice?
I think in that case, TJ should have wrapped with the other arm. I think he had just a bad wrap, and if he switched to the other arm, I think he could have been able to get a better hold on him. But I can't really see.
I'm trying to go back.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. I think that's something that a lot of college players I see particularly struggle with is most right-handed college.
He tries with his back arm. He needs the front arm.
Holds him instead of just switching his broom hand to give him a hug.
A lot of things I also see is players feel like they need to overpower the other player, like we saw with Fenning versus Connor in the very beginning, where Connor literally drives him off the pitch, where sometimes all you need to do is sit down and your momentum's going to drag them down with you.
If you get a good contact at a good part in the body, they will come down no matter the size difference usually.
Especially if they're running towards you. If you get a good contact and just sit down, momentum's going to drag them straight over your head.
Yeah, you will use their momentum against them.
We take 2 timeouts in a row. This is Cody Fox is now beating who was chasing earlier with their starter, Alex Stewart. Again, I think he's the only player shift. And then we've got Randy Orion, Lane McCullers, and those are the chasers with Hayden Altman on the field for A&M right now. And then Cal has Eric Shen, Dara, Catherine Condit, TJ O'Hara keeping with Kyle Berkbeest, and Connor Hughes is on their line. But we have 2 timeouts, so we're chilling.
The girl who walks out in 3 blankets on Texas's team in the timeout.
That was probably the most relatable thing. I mean, it was cold that morning.
Yep, it really was.
I remember watching the video and not expecting that to happen, and then she just walks by, and I'm like, that's the mood.
At this point on Cal's line, Connor is the only starter still in, and again, this is where we really see the shift in Cal's gameplay.
If you keep up consistent subbing, you can sub one player at a time and then sub your starters back in while some second round players are still in. If you do all these at once subbings, you'll have a whole second line team and a whole first line team. And if your second line team is not nearly as good as your first line team, it's going to drag you down a little bit.
Which is why I've seen some college teams kind of, especially Creighton Quidditch, for example, really adapt the hyper fast subbing kind of technique, where they sub entire lines all at once, but do it literally every 5 or 6 possession, and they play this super high octane running around offense.
If you can't be sprinting back to hoops, you should not be on the field, in my opinion. If you cannot be putting 100% onto the field to get back and stop a fast break, you should be subbed out. There's no point even for the star players to be tired. So we're at 17 minutes of gameplay. Snitch is going to be released very soon.
Yeah, and Cal beaters here make a great team play to kind of get bludger control back in time for this play. And then I really think their keeper kind of throws away this possession. Yeah. You have lots of passing options, and then just kind of takes a wild cross-bodied shot. That's a low percentage shot that's almost never going to work out for you.
They get the control. He's got an option to his left, and then there's both of the female chasers were wings, and I want to assume that maybe Eric was behind. You can't see with the camera angle, but I want to assume that Eric was behind, and that's what the goal was. But if that was supposed to be just a cross pitch shot into that small hoop, that was an unnecessary switch. And as expected, Stitches Relius and Fenning has re-entered.
Yeah, and I like this. It seems like Cal has fallen back into has really all their starters back after a 5 or 6 minute break, right as Snitch on Pitch is about to happen, which even though they got there in a weird way, is I feel the right way you want to end there. You really want that start of Snitch on Pitch to kind of be your strongest line, and I feel like they got there.
For Snitches, for Cal, we have Michael Saradarian, which I had to ask Fenning how to pronounce, so I hope that was close. And then Keaton Mallory for A&M are the seekers for this game. Immediately, the Velcro doesn't work. We have a stoppage for that.
Yeah, so we see that play from before really did give Cal bludger control, which I like.
Yes, it worked.
They're in a great position for Snitch on Pitch here.
What I'm surprised doesn't happen immediately, though, is Kyle stays in. I don't know why Cal didn't be we have Ivan and Arden on the sidelines that have both been outperforming Kyle this game. I don't know why that switch didn't happen right on Stitch on Pitch as with Fenning, but who's to say?
And we see Cal Seeker kind of right away getting a lot of quality time on this snitch. But the one weakness I've seen really so far that I see in a lot of seekers across the board, like at literally every level, is they don't pay attention to the other seeker. Like at this one attempt we see coming up right here, this over-aggressive attempt really lets the A&M seeker get an attempt at an only half-defended snitch, which is something you really have to watch out for, right? I mean, so your job as the seeker, your first job as the seeker is to make sure the other team seeker doesn't catch. Then you can catch, which is one thing that I think like Josh Andrews, for example, has really perfected the art of in terms of really knowing when to defensive seek and when to actually attack.
Yeah, agreed. I think Cal, something that they've missed this whole season was having that elite seeker. And I think having an elite seeker on that team would have won them the regional championships. I don't know if it would have affected their nationals run at all, but it would have at least probably made the game shorter that they played in and kept people fresher longer, if nothing else. But this play, we see this upcoming offense, we see the first card of the whole game, which honestly with these two teams, I think is pretty impressive that we don't see any cards before this, but there's eventually, Fenning gets ripped back by Hayden Altman, dragged, and then Hayden hits again as Fenning's coming up and makes a net contact and gets a card.
Yeah, I mean, that's net contact, that's BAC contact. That's really a pick your poison there.
I think if Fenning hadn't tried to get up, where Hayden seemed to be going more towards the ball, and then Fenning moved up, and then the ball was where his back and neck were, and that's kind of what happened. It didn't seem like an intentional a lot was happening at once, but we do see them capitalize on this in one of my favorite plays of the whole game momentarily. Okay, so ends up being a bad pass to Dara, which honestly I'm surprised that she even gets to first based on how speedy A&M players have been playing. But then she makes this pass to Fenning, which goes through the hoop and blows my mind because there is 3 A&M players in front of him, and beautiful. Literally, I'm watching one more time. One more. I love this play. I love to see a female chaser pass to a keeper for a move like that. Beautiful. Okay, anyway, moving on.
Yeah, and at this point, I think in terms of snitch time, both seekers have had pretty much equal time. Both beaters have been doing a really good job of kind of creating bubbles for their seeker, and both teams have had a ton of time here.
Yeah, I agree. My only downside of these camera angles that I understand are objectively better because we can see things more detailed, but as opposed to a field angle, if beaters are doing things slightly out of snitch cam on the other side of the quaffle game, you don't see what they're doing. And I feel like we do miss out, especially at the end of this game where when the game ends, we can't see the beaters at all. And we'll see, but you can tell how great of a job that the beaters on both sides are doing to give their seekers plenty of looks.
Yeah, I think there was a couple of comments on that when this was live streamed. Everyone was like, you can't see anything beater related.
So Fenning makes a great hit here, but he steps and it kind of leaves hoops open because Eric doesn't really compensate for Fenning being off of hoops. Not that it matters because they catch right here anyway, but I just want to look at Eric kind of takes it, gives up, Fenning takes the wrap over, but then there's no one really defensively to stop that goal from happening. It just is kind of an easy dish, but now we get to see Fenning go get the quaffle and not watch anything else while the stitch gets pulled. There it is. So I don't know where the Cal beaters were for that play. I'm not sure if they had lost control and just had kind of been trying to get it back, or if they were, I don't know what happened, which is unfortunate, but it was a beautiful pull by Keaton, the A&M seeker. So let's talk about your thoughts. If you have thoughts on the overall gameplay, let's start from there.
I think just to reiterate what I said earlier, the most prominent difference I think was just the pace of the game for both teams. You got, like you said, apparently it is a regional difference, that you do see that fast pace and keeper gets the ball in Texas A&M is by the hoops. And I think also that can kind of tie into the fact that Cal wasn't subbing and the fact that it's so fast paced, we have to have Cal run back to defense really quickly. It's going to get a tired out game. And I think you could kind of see that fatigue kick in around 14, 15 minutes, like Ryan had mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I thought both teams played pretty sloppy in the beginning. My only comment is I think that both teams' beaters seem to be kind of AWOL during that snitch on pitch for a lot of it. We saw a lot of time with just both seekers there. I think that comes down to just slowing down your quaffle play a little bit, especially if you're Cal there, right? If you're holding on to that ball as long as humanly possible, because scoring, 5 goals to get out of range while blocking, while preventing A&M from scoring at all is unlikely at that point, right? Your win condition at that point is catching the snitch, which is why you need to make sure your quaffle players aren't taking up any of your beater resources, right? Which is why you kind of want to slow down that play. Yeah, I think Cal misplayed that game from a roster management standpoint. I don't know if anything would have gone differently. Obviously, they got to the point where the game was in range, right? And when you're playing any top team, that's what you want. If you get to a point where the game's in range, you have done your job as a quaffle player, right? And from a management perspective, like, you have done your job. And then both snitch seekers had equal time, and it was just A&M that came away with it. So I really can't be mad at that game. I think it was a well-played game by both teams, for sure.
As I said previously, I do think it would be better if the seekers on A&M, if they wanted to pass behind hoops as they were trying often in the beginning, if he would just stop, plant his feet, and then throw the pass, he would probably have hit that chaser a lot more, and that would have led to more goals. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty good game on their part. They were fast-paced and pressed them really hard, which was really good for them because Cal wasn't subbing, so that was just going to wear them out.
I definitely agree with everything that's been said. I think as far, it's strange that I've watched Cal play in their regional finals game against Utah State, and I was like, wow, they didn't sub one single time. And, Benning did not sub out until snitch on pitch, where he went in as seeker for a few minutes, and that was the only time he subbed. I don't think they did not sub against Utah State, and that lost them that game. But then in this game, they did finally sub eventually. And obviously you want your good players playing with your good players, so they're going to connect more. Fenning loves to play with Maddie and Eli because Fenning can pass them the ball and they're going to score, almost always, objectively. And we didn't really see that as much this game because it was a more drive-heavy game. But if you stagger your lines, something that the Lost Boys do is 3 tiers of players, first tier, second tier, and third tier. If we have a field that's exclusively of second tier players, we'll swap in a first tier keeper to support them, to make sure that they're connecting more. If you just have a whole line of that second tier of player, then you're going to see what happened with Cal. So if Fenning was playing with maybe Dara and Catherine, as opposed to TJ got to play with Maddie and AJ, maybe some of those connections with TJ would have been better. It's hard to say. It's just hard when you are in such a close game and you're like, okay, we're going to take all of our starters out that have been doing amazing this whole game and put all of our second string in. And that's just going to lead to you're going to lose some of those points. And they stayed in range, which I honestly think is incredible based on how the second line was playing. There wasn't a lot happening. They weren't really scoring, but it could, as soon as Fenning leaves the field, it does make a clear difference. But if it had been staggered and different players had different support players, maybe it would have been different, but who's to say? Honestly, this game ended up losing this gave Cal an easier shot to finals. So I don't think, it sucks to lose, but if they had won this game, they would have had to play Texas earlier, University of Texas earlier, and probably wouldn't have made it to the finals. So you can take it with a grain of salt of how that game went. But I do think it was a great game. I think both teams were prepping for very long days of game 2. I would have liked to see more dynamic lines run by Cal, especially I was so stoked that they subbed after watching the Utah State game and they didn't sub. The first episode of BAC, we did Terminus versus Lost Boys. And it's funny the way that A&M plays more similarly to Terminus of let's go fast and run, even with the tiny roster that Terminus had, Ryan, there's always fast movements, there's always big hits, et cetera. And then the Lost Boys side is very much how Cal plays, and slow balling the quaffle, let's make more calculated passes, etc. So neither way is better than the other because it's always provides different outcomes. But it's crazy to see how these regions align that way in similarities. So Okay, cool. For anyone at home who has not seen this yet, I have specifically instructed my guests to not pick a female or non-binary player just because this is the Bitches Analysis Corner. The MVP should be given to the MVP regardless of their gender identity. So yeah, y'all, whoever wants to go first, take the floor of who you selected on both teams.
So I guess I'll go first. I think on Cal, it was super easy for me. I think Eli Phipps ran away with it. I think that first 10 minutes of Cal play, I don't think Cal's in range if Eli's not there. I think Ryan really stepped up for that second, 5 minutes, and he had some great, from minute 8 to minute 15. Ryan kind of showed the dominant player that he is and made that Cal offense happen. But I think before that, without Eli Phipps, to get that Cal offense kind of moving in the first place, I don't think Cal's in range there. I think he had some great defensive plays. He really showed that he was a good player on both sides of the ball. And as for A&M, a little bit harder, but I think Alex Stewart deserves this very much. She showed that she can play engage beater. She made some great engagements. She played free beater. She showed everything. She really showed great knowledge on both offense, on defense, and a snitch on pitch stint, which I know is incredibly hard and incredibly draining. And she played that pretty much flawlessly, which let her team end up coming away with that catch. So I thought Alex really played that game really, really well from a beater standpoint and really let her offense kind of run away with it. She forced some turnovers and really made that A&M early game, I'd say, really made it click.
I completely agree with Eli Phipps. That was also my MVP for Cal. Just dominated on the pitch. I think he had 4 or 5 touches in the minutes that he was in, and he scored 3 goals, which is insane. So yeah, just shout out to Eli on that one. Really good job. And then for A&M, I have McIntyre because I think that Connor just really drove the game at the beginning. He was fast, he was aggressive, just really kind of set the tone, I think, for A&M to follow after that. You could see McBride kind of pick up in McIntyre's footsteps, once he got subbed in as keeper, and also had 4 goals, so just was a very prominent player on the field, I think.
Arden was my MVP just because I thought he had the best awareness of the game and of making good drives and of hitting the right beats. I thought he did a really great job of that. Eli is a beast. The Phipps have great athleticism. We know that on Cal. And
Becoming determinist.
I've never seen a determinist game. I'm curious now. And then I agree with Steph that Connor was the MVP for Texas. He was very strong and fast. He made hard contacts and really got in there and wasn't afraid. And I thought that was really good. And it kept the game up and the speed up, which really helped Texas in the end.
Yeah.
I probably have to say I really would have loved to see Eli sub back into that game. I don't know why Eli, I don't know if there was an injury or something happened, but it seems strange that Eric had subbed in and then Eli never comes back. So that was a choice move. I don't know why, when Stitch on Pitch happened, they didn't line up Fenning and Eli again together after they had had so much success. So I don't know if there's a story behind that, but because Eli doesn't come back, I think that my MVP is still Fenning. He's the sole reason for every single one of their goals. If he doesn't make the pass that connects, he finds a way to compensate, and I definitely think he's the MVP of this game for the Cal side. Eli is a close second. And then I think I agree with Ryan when it comes to Alex Stewart. She is I've never heard of Alex Stewart before this game. I haven't heard of most of these names on A&M just because I don't know much about Texas Quidditch, period. But I had no idea who she was, and the fact that Cal played the entire game in a double male set and Alex matched all of the Cal male beaters toe-to-toe, if not outplaying them, snaps to Alex for sure. I do agree also that Connor was incredible. He is so fast and athletic, and you can just tell that he is a strong dynamic player. But I think a lot of the defensive plays wouldn't have happened without Alex. So those are my picks. Okay, cool. In other episodes, people have dropped their social media handles. And if you want to do that, you can. You don't have to. You can. That was Sofia's idea for episode 1. But where can we find you if we want to find you?
If you want to find me, I'm Ryan Davis on Facebook. Please message me. I'm not scary. I'll literally talk to anyone about anything. So if you want to talk about literally anything, please reach out. I'll be here.
Yeah, I'm Stephanie Ancheta on Facebook, I think. Honestly, don't even know. But I feel like I'll come up if you just Google my name. But Instagram also, just at Stephanie Ancheta. And talk Quidditch with me. I'm new. I'm trying to run the Cal program with Harry. So let me know. I'm always down to talk or go over film or anything. I want more Quidditch friends, so reach out.
Mine is also just Nicole Nelson on Facebook. I think if you just search me up, I follow enough Quidditch people that I'd probably pop up. And yeah, reach out to me. I'm gonna be tournament director, which is if we have a tournament, I will have a good job. So yeah, if you are trying to plan a tournament in the future, reach out.
Yes.
Fantastic. I love we have so few West tournament directors. I think this past year was only myself, Alexia, Shirley, and Elizabeth Barcelos. Maybe someone from Arizona also was, and there's probably someone from there wasn't a lot. There was not a lot of tournament directors. So happy to see more. I want to give just a special shout out for Stephanie and Nicole for participating and being the only first year players that have signed up to do this. I had to push Dara from Cal to be like, I know you have some strong bitches that know this game. Please get them to do this. And then hours after I sent that message, I had 2 Cal first year players sign up. So this is a kind of intimidating thing, and so I'm really glad to see some new faces feeling comfortable enough to do this. And thank you for everyone who has tuned in to our 5th episode of Bitches Analysis Corner, and I guess we'll just see you next time.